For some reason, I had to plug my camera, unplug it, and plug it back in because it wasn't being recognized.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you first started, it was all black.
Yeah, I don't know. Because the way I have things set up, the camera goes to my monitor, and then my monitor goes to my keyboard, and then my keyboard goes to my computer. Because I don't have the ability to extend it further without getting extension cables. I didn't know if that had something to do with it, but that's been the same for weeks now.
I don't know. Yield!
my end.
That's fine. Just
You were interviewing?
No. In the Facebook group. I'm in the Facebook group. And every so often, you'll get people come in, they'll brag about this or they'll do that. But you'll get these posts like, hey, what's the best way to level up? And I normally just let it go. But this time I read, play the game. He's like, that's not good advice. I'm like, actually, it's the best advice. Play the damn game.
Well, I think that's being seen as snarky and not contributing to the conversation. Yes, play the game, but maybe some pointers as to how best to play to level up.
Matt, literally the best way to level up is to play the game. You play the challenges and do stuff like that. You log on to the game, it tells you plain as day. You get a certain amount of expertise for doing it.
He's on.
Yes, I'm here.
Can't hear you.
She doesn't listen to me anyway, so she doesn't have to hear me.
I'm going to do a battery swap real quick just to make sure I have full charge.
Hey, I'm going to get wait for Alex.
why they fuck up Skype worse every time they update every fucking week.
I got you.
Fucking idiots.
So what are we gonna do with them?
I don't know, not buy their games. Like we always do.
Alright. Let's see what you can do.
Alright, I just restarted, so I just gotta wait for it to load up.
You guys been hearing about the TikTok ban?
Yes.
No.
Alright, well, basic information. The government just took a vote to ban TikTok because they're worried because it's Chinese owned that
Because it's spyware.
they could be leaking our information to China.
No, stop.
So, the House just overwhelmingly voted to ban TikTok. And now it's got to go to the Senate, which it might be another 6 months before that happens. I think we should talk about it because even though it's being called the TikTok, even though it's being called the TikTok ban, the way they worded it could have implications into other companies. Because it's not labeled as because it's Chinese owned. It's by foreign governments or by foreign entities, which could affect other things. Because if they turn around and say this product can be banned because it's majority owned by a foreign company, that could hit harder. I got to do more research to find out exactly, but I think at some point I have to address
then
it.
we don't need to talk about it
Well, no, I'm not
at
saying.
this point.
No, I'm not saying tonight. But
No.
I'm in the future we might have to address this.
Depends on how it's worded. I love how they're just now thinking that it could be
Oh no,
spyware.
they did this back when Trump was in office too.
Listen, I've said it many, many times. TikTok is spyware. And the fact that it's on all of our phones, all of our computers, everything, especially our phones, where it has permissions above and beyond exact whatever it needs, it is sending information back. And
You don't think the Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff is doing the same thing?
because that is, if Facebook or Twitter or something is hacked and it's being sent back inadvertently, then that's one thing. This is a blatantly Chinese-owned software on everybody's device that everybody is voluntarily putting their financial data in, their personal data in, and this thing is siphoning off your notepads, your drawings, your pictures, everything. Like it is made to do that. That is why it is being talked about being banned. Listen, I understand having Facebook, having all those things. I sign away my rights, but at least it's going to an American company. The shit that goes on over in China, listen, man, I'm not going to voluntarily give them my information.
I honestly don't think this is the conversation I want to have. I don't think it's because it's Chinese owned or a TikTok thing. I think it's just a broader conversation because if they don't word this bill correctly, it could have implications into, oh well, PlayStations are going to get banned. Xbox, oh not Xbox, but isn't Microsoft like heavily owned by foreign governments too, like investors and stuff?
Where'd you hear that?
I'm just, well, major companies have foreign investors. I'm not saying it's the majority, but like Mr. Wonderful is talking about buying TikTok. Elon Musk is talking about buying it.
Well, that's the only way that TikTok's going to survive is if the Chinese conglomerate that owns TikTok sells it to them.
Yeah, but even if it's a majority owner, wouldn't they still get the data?
That depends. The thing is, because it's owned by a Chinese conglomerate, CCP has direct influence and direction over how it handles data. And therefore, it's going to... It's a matter of fact, they tell them, give us all your data on everything that you got.
Hello, gentlemen.
We'll address it after I look into it a little bit more. So what?
Hold on. You've got too much butt. Damn it, Cosmo.
As long as it's on his butt. Weird if poop was on his face. You'll take a look at the picture link I put in the chat.
Come here.
Okay.
You're gross. Come here. Come here.
Oh, wait, the Reddit one?
Yeah.
Okay. Come here. You're really gross.
Yeah, I heard that somebody asked for that, and immediately I'm like, no.
Come here.
No, that's a bad idea.
Alex was arguing with me in the Facebook group, being like, dude, no, you're talking about friendly fire now.
Yeah, exactly. No, that would be a bad idea. Like maybe solo, that would be cool. Multiplayer? No, bad idea. If somebody
to have my own robot.
If somebody has that, I'm staying way far away from that person. The laser eats me up enough as it is. Like, can you imagine the flamethrower?
Dude, not even just the laser. How many times have you just been shot in the side of the face by the machine gun rover?
Not as much as, well, I run a shield a lot anymore, just so that way I can survive the initial shock.
Dude, I for the first time last night, I tried the spear. Why the fuck is that thing in the game? This is the worst stratagem.
I don't think it's that bad, but you definitely need to, you can't run off solo and try to use it.
What? There's no rhyme or reason to how it locks onto something.
I've used it once. A buddy of mine, he had it. He died. I happened to run across that area, and I didn't have a side weapon. And I'm like, okay. I picked it up. I used it for a little bit, and then dumped it.
Well,
I don't use it much. I always just carry eagles or orbitals.
When I finally got to use it, and I hit a tank, how is this thing not one-shotting the things it's supposed to be killing?
That's a good question.
It's all clean.
Yeah, hopefully so, because if he brushes up at me again and it's fucking gross, then we're gonna have problems.
Alright, everybody ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Alright.
Yeah. Good.
Alex?
Waiting to hit record.
Yep, I'm pulling up Audacity now, getting my levels down to where they need to be. Everything is good. Yeah, I'm ready.
Hit record now. I am recording.
Yep.
Good to go.
I am recording.
5 seconds of silence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 613. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. He's the man staring at his phone. It's Alex.
That's right. I'm on camera now, so you can see that.
Yes, okay.
It's been a frustrating day, but thankfully I'm here with my PlayStation brothers in arms, and we're going to have a good show.
He brings the awesome and the friendly fire, apparently. It's I Yield to No One.
Spreading managed democracy, one mission at a time.
He's the man who doesn't care about trophies, but is charting into uncharted territory. It's Matt.
I put the fire in friendly fire.
That is true.
Are you
as Alex and Yield found out this week?
Are you not comfortable or careful with your shots there, sir?
Oh, he is, but he is literally on fire.
You can only be so comfortable when you're spraying a river of fire all over the battlefield. At that point, it's just up to your teammates to get out of the way.
I will say there has been some chatter that this is turning into the Helldivers 2 podcast.
Yeah, Will made that joke in the questions this week.
Well,
which, I mean, you talk about what you know, and that's all I'm playing, so.
Well, it's not just been Will, it's been other people, but yeah.
Hey, man, Helldivers 2 tracks. People want to hear about it.
Well, apparently, because it's pushed up our social medias on our TikToks and our Facebook or YouTubes. Although, Yield,
that whole TikTok thing. You should just shut it down.
Yield has been quietly complaining about the AI's summaries.
Oh God, they're so horrible.
If you're not aware,
saying that we talk about stuff that we never mentioned in the show.
Technically, the AI only picks up.
No. There's no technically about it. I read the title out loud to a group of friends. Said, "Hey, listen to this," and I read about it, and they absolutely agreed. Oh, you talked about this? No, we talked about this, which had nothing to do with what the AI said we talked about.
The AI
solving the problems of how to create cheaper games. Didn't talk about that.
The AI is picking it up because it got some kind of reference. That's all I'm going to say.
Tricky.
I know that, but that's still bad.
Tricky, how do we get a better reference for your face instead of this controller disconnected screen you got going on Skype?
Well, if you look on Twitch, you can see, but because I can't use the camera on Twitch and Skype at the same time.
Is that a technical limitation of the things you use, Tricky, or is that a limitation of your computer?
I don't know, because every time I try to turn the camera on Skype, it tells me the device is being used in another application, which is XSplit.
So last week when we can see you on Skype, you weren't on Twitch?
No, because V was running the Twitch. Remember, I couldn't run it. I mean, I can do this.
I mean, do whatever works for Twitch or wherever we're broadcasting. That's fine. I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's just weird that you're like, oh, get on camera.
I'm on camera. You can see me now.
Can
you see me now?
Yes, you're waving your arms.
We can see you on our Skype.
Yes, there you go. All right, so I'll do that from now on, because I just had my capture card up there so you guys can watch me playing Spider-Man 2.
I love how he gets to play games while
I'm not playing games. It's literally on pause. The controller disconnected, so I haven't touched the controller in 10 minutes.
Homie, I haven't touched a controller since Thursday.
Oh, is that why you... I was wondering why you haven't earned another trophy outside of Helldivers.
Well, I've just been playing Helldivers, like Helldivers and Rocket League, and I don't have more trophies to earn in those games, so There's nothing I want to fucking buy now. I mean, maybe I'll play a PlayStation Plus free game, but...
Oh, that's one of our questions later. I mean, it's directed at me, but it applies to you as well. All right, so let's do our updated trophy count. I am level 902, total trophies of 30,111 with 831 platinums. Alex?
Level 502, total trophy count of 9,764 and a platinum count of 169 in 168 games. Tricky just left. Yield, sir, what are your trophies?
Level 507 with a trophy count of 10056 and
Everybody
a
stop
platinum
talking
count
'cause I walked
of
away.
184.
Matt, sir, your trophies, which probably, well, you may have gotten one or two.
Nope. No movement since last week. Level 220, 1,310 trophies and 0 platinums.
Well, that's not true. You earned a trophy.
No,
Didn't you
That
earn
was a couple of weeks ago.
that was the week prior. I have not touched my PS5 since we last talked.
Well, you win the trophy for the best new host on Trophy Horse. How about that? No backup at all on that. Wow.
Sid is 8. Yeah, and that was multiple people. So you know what? You know that you really missed their airball. Sid is level 885 with a total trophy count of 26,575 and a platinum count of 832, which, if you all remember from a moment ago when Tricky read his platinums, is more than Tricky.
My lord.
Is that not the truth?
It is, but
Do I not speak the truth?
it is, but it's a false narrative, and I can't go into why. Because I promised Sid
It's
I
a
would.
false narrative because it makes you look like a chump.
No, because I gotta protect Sid.
You gotta protect Sid. Sid can protect himself, sir. Sid doesn't need protection.
Let's just say Sid is taking advantage of certain vulnerabilities in my gaming right now.
You mean the fact that you only play Division?
Shouldn't have shared your account.
What's the? That's weird. Oh, that's the microphone. I'm wondering why it's getting cut off.
Are you having like a mental block, Tricky? Did you?
No, if okay, if you look on the camera, because the I bought a prompter that helps me keep track of the chat, so I don't have to look over there no more. Anyway, because of the prompter, the camera is now set back a little bit more, so I had to cut the green screen in. So I'm wondering why right here it doesn't look like it looks like something's getting off, and it's my microphone. Because
So what you have told basically us is that you paid more money to be more confused. That's exactly what you've done.
I'm not confused because when I'm streaming, I don't have this microphone in this shot.
You literally bought more crap to take up more space, and just you're lost. You're in the weeds.
The problem is I have an L-shaped desk, and I should definitely buy a new desk. It's been 6 years.
What kind of desk are you wanting to buy?
The one I want is insanely pricey. You guys would just judge me.
Humorous. What's the amount?
$1,000.
I mean, I don't think that's ridiculous for a desk.
For a well-equipped desk that does everything you need. I mean, listen, if that's where you spend a good amount of your time.
Yeah, would I pay that? No, but I'm not at a desk ever really, except record this podcast. So I don't need it. But you probably have the money, judging by how many PlayStation 5s you bought. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to judge you. If you said like $10,000, like, what is it made out of? Diamonds? Is it made out of kaiju bones? You know, what is the base of this?
I just sent a link so you guys can see.
I mean, as somebody who spent close to $1,400 on my chair, I get the need of something that is ergonomic and is going to last you a long time.
As someone who is currently sitting at a desk with the view of another desk behind him, Matt knows all too well the cost of desks.
I like this. For the listeners, the desk I'm talking about is the Secret Lab Magnus Pro XL. I like.
I'm not going to click that link.
Yeah, this is a good desk.
Yeah, I just okay. So the L-shaped desk that I'm using, I spent $450 on, and it's fine. It's like it works fine. It gives me everything I need. I'm getting a text. But that, if I get that, I want the extended part, which makes it into an L again. But the problem with the camera is, and like, if you guys are looking in Skype right now, anything on this side, if I don't cut it off, you guys see everything on this desk. And it's not that like I'm trying to hide anything, but then it destroys the illusion of a green screen. So, and I could put the camera there, which eliminate that, but then I'd have to turn the desk to match the green screen. It's a whole big process.
Hey, here's the thing, though. The desk I have, the one you see in my background, is a sit stand. It's a 55-inch by 28-inch desk, and I know you talking about that you want something with an L shape. That cost me $200 or so. You can get two of those and make it work, as opposed to spending $1,000 on a desk. But your money, you do what you want. I'm just giving you other options.
No. Like there are options out there. I'm holding back because there's really no reason for me to get another desk right now. So, but if I'm gonna get a desk, I'm gonna get what I want, and I just had to convince myself, one, that it's time to get another desk, and two, it's worth spending over $1,000 for it.
Fair enough.
So, in the chat, Joe said Steve hasn't been in the intro in a long time. Man,
He's keeping it alive.
keeping it alive. Staying alive. Staying alive.
Who sings
BGs
that
never
song?
got, the Bee Gees never go out of style.
I know. Let the BG
Yeah.
sing it.
Let the BG sing it. Yeah.
That's,
You knew where I was going with that
that's
one.
such an old joke, Matt. But then we're
Old
old.
like some of the hosts I know.
We're all old men, okay? I think we're
Speak
all.
for yourself.
Are we all over 40 now?
Nope.
We have to get Alex on the 40 train.
Well, eventually I'll get there. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Otherwise, we got problems because I was supposed to turn 40 in December, this December. So if I don't make it to 40, then.
All right, so let's get into what we're playing. Yield, we'll start with you because you've been quiet this whole desk topic. Let's find out what you've been playing, sir.
I've been playing some Lego 2K, some Borderlands pre-sequel, and Helldivers 2. A lot of Helldivers 2.
All right, I'm gonna let you guys go because I know you all have been playing Helldivers. I'm gonna.
And that's my latest platinum as well, Helldivers 2.
Oh, you got the Helldivers Platinum.
Yes, I did.
Are you gonna keep playing it?
Well, yeah, why not?
Okay, so that's gonna help the conversation later. Matt, what have you been playing, sir?
So I've been playing the Steam Spring Sale and picked up a whole bunch of games.
By playing, you mean just buying, just without buying without impunity, just buying everything?
Basically, because this was a very lucrative month for me, and as a result, let me go through what I've actually purchased. Account details, view purchase history. So today I bought Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered. I bought the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak expansion for the PC. I already had it on the Switch. I bought No Man's Sky, which I've been playing, and that was I've played. So I had No Man's Sky on the PS4, and I played it for a while, dropped off of it a while, and when I came back to it, I played it when it was on Game Pass. I've since given up Game Pass, and I said, okay, I still actually want this game. And I just waited for it to go on sale. So it went on sale for $30. I played a bunch of that this weekend. The cool thing about it is VR compatible. And that's really cool when you're flying around in your spaceship in VR. I think, what's that? Yeah, it had already happened on the show. I bought and played more of the Command & Conquer series because I bought that big pack that EA was putting out on Steam. I also bought Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Livery. I haven't touched that one yet. And most importantly is I had delivered, set up, and have been playing on my new Steam Deck OLED, Dragon's Dogma. It's the Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen game because the new one, Dragon's Dogma 2, is coming out later this month, and I'm interested to see if this is something I want to get involved in. So I've been playing all that, and then yes, Helldivers 2, and today I actually got enough super credits to buy the new War Bond that came out on March 14th. So I unlocked that, all without spending more money in the game. I bought the game, and everything else I've done, I've earned the premium currency in-game and bought all that stuff in-game without spending an extra dime.
And I've been playing some Division 2. I'm currently playing Marvel Spider-Man 2, the new game plus. You had a look on your face there, Matt. Like,
I know you usually go last. Did we hit Alex?
Did we hit Alex?
Well, judging by the fact that Tricky said "and," I'm assuming that he meant for him to be the last person. So, Tricky, go ahead and this.
No, we can't break up the tradition. I'm sorry.
You already did. We're already
started talking
stomping
about
on hallowed ground here.
Well, the only thing that Alex is playing is Helldivers 2, as he's already said, because we know Alex doesn't play another two games at once. Actually, no, you did go because you said you were playing Rocket League and Helldivers 2.
I said that in the intro, but also I have been playing 2 games at once because I play Rocket League and Helldivers 2. So that busts up your theory there.
Anyway, so that's all I've been playing is Division 2, Marvel Spider-Man, and I think that's it. What have I played it?
Shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Who's texting? One of you guys is texting me.
Yes, because
Horizon
Yield
Forbidden West
sent me an awesome photo of Soundwave that I responded I want to make into a poster.
Okay. And Horizon Forbidden West. That's all I've been playing. Alex, your turn.
So, Tricky, I'm a little hurt. You were going to forget me because I haven't had a chance to announce that I also earned the Helldivers 2 Platinum. I mean, I announced it on Facebook, but
In the most epic way. if
I
might
didn't.
add.
Yeah, I didn't get the chance to announce it here on the show, so thanks, Tricky. But yeah, I got the Helldivers 2 Platinum thanks to Yield, Riley, and DJ. They helped me get my very final trophy that I needed.
Government names.
I said Yield, Riley, and DJ.
I know you said Riley. That's a government name.
Well, we go back and forth between the brain and Riley. I mean, Yield says Riley on
I'm
the show,
just
too.
giving you shit.
Anyway, yes, so I got that Platinum. More of the new season of Rocket League. The only thing I had to say about Helldivers is, and I want to pose this question to Yield and to Matt, because I had the thought as I was loading up the Galactic War screen. Do you all think, because it seems like we're not making a ton of progress in game as far as the Galactic War goes, do you all think that the player base might start to drop off if people feel like we're not making enough progress? Because the way that we defeat planets essentially is each planet has a total amount of HP. And by completing missions, we take away from that HP. But for every certain amount of time, each planet regens its HP over time. So if we don't go after a planet, it just regens its HP and we lose our spot. So we have to keep doing missions and completing missions on planets to eventually defeat a planet. And right now, I just kind of look at the map and I'm like, wow, we're not making a ton of progress. So do you guys feel like there's any danger of people... I mean, I'm still playing it. I'm still going to play it. But if we don't start knocking out planets and getting closer to the Terminids and the Automatons, are people going to say, well, we're just banging our head against the wall. Why are we playing this game still?
I've got thoughts,
that's a
but
good
Yield,
question.
I'll let you.
Because there is a game master behind the scenes that does deal with this, where they can change the regen of the planets. They can go in and change that. But just as it is now, I just feel like we're not doing a ton to progress in the game.
It definitely feels like there's not going to be as many Galactic War wins as there was with the other game, at least not yet. Because it feels like just as we conquer an area and you're into the other one, something happens that knocks you back.
So I will say this. We all did our democratic duty and we activated the Terminid control system and we reclaimed the barrier planet. So if you notice that whole first area, that the starting area, Angel's Venture and Heath and those planets, those are all good. Yeah. I think Alex might be frozen a little bit. But yeah, no, you're good, Alex. Those barrier planets for the terminids we've taken. Those are good. So I think it depends on how progression's seen, because there's still a ton of planets that we can go after. And it does depend on activity. I don't know if the perceived lack of movement is going to cause a drop-off, but time will tell. If they start seeing players drop off, maybe the game director or the DM will turn around and go, all right, let's increase percentages for people who are being active so we can get these planets captured. So I think it's a fine line that they're trying to balance. But honestly, the war bonds, the new weapons, the new stratagems, all that stuff, I think that's going to help keep players engaged more than planet control in some cases.
Yeah, because when they add the new war bonds, like I'm just buying everything in war bonds. I want to buy everything. So instead of maybe playing a new game to get trophies, I'm like, you know what? They released a new war bond, and I want to get everything within that war bond. And I realize that once the Galactic War is over, if it takes too long, they may see that as people may see that as, okay, the game is over, we beat it. But again, there are hints that the Illuminate, the third faction from the first game, will eventually be making an appearance in this game. I've seen like video of them hinting at it within the game, like on the newsreels and stuff on your ship. So
propaganda.
There is always that. They can always throw in new factions or that third faction when the Galactic War is over, or when it looks like the Terminids or Automatons are defeated. Oh, here comes this third faction. You got to deal with that. So there is more they can do to keep people involved. So, but I do agree with Matt. It is a fine line to walk. I just, as a player, I don't want to get discouraged just because, like, well, I've done all this work and here we are. We're still in the same place. So, but it's good to know that we captured that barrier system and we're onward and upward. But yeah.
All right. So my question to you guys is...
It doesn't matter what your question to us is.
That felt...
Well done, Alex.
How many
what?
years has it been?
Oh my God!
How many years has it been since I've done that to you?
I can't believe you two support his... Never mind.
Dude, you use the what soundbite on us all the time. What? Yeah, there you go. And besides, Hollywood Rock is back, so it makes sense. Just in time for WrestleMania, baby.
Yeah, he's so going to turn on Roman.
I mean, at some point you figure that they're going to match those two up against each other, but
I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. Matt, you can just turn off your ears for like 45 seconds.
See you guys later.
This is exactly what's going to happen. As WrestleMania is put out right now, is that The Rock and Roman are going to go against Cody and Seth on night one. If Cody and Seth win, then the Bloodline's banned. If The Rock and Roman wins, then it's Bloodline rules. The Rock and Roman are going to win night one, hands down. It's going to make it so much sweeter that when Cody wins, and Cody's going to win because The Rock's going to turn on him, saying that he's really the head of the table and the real tribal chief. And that is going to set up a SummerSlam match between the two.
I mean, I agree they probably will fight at SummerSlam, but there are other elements you're not considering, because I could definitely see The Rock and Roman Reigns going at it on the Mania after WrestleMania, or the Raw after WrestleMania, because that's typically a big show for them. But I think you discount the fact that somewhere along the way, CM Punk might get involved, because at that press conference where they announced where Cody picked his match, CM Punk was talking shit, and The Rock heard him.
Well, that's fine. No, I'm talking just for when it comes to WrestleMania. CM Punk might get involved, but as far as WrestleMania, Rock is just placating Roman right now, and he's going to turn on him. And then Roman's going to go away probably until SummerSlam. And then, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Because, hell, someone mentioned this, and I didn't think about it. They could always just put CM Punk in a special referee for the match.
For which match? WrestleMania match?
The Cody Roman match. They could always put CM Punk in there. He didn't have to get physical.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to risk him. Anyway, let's get back to let's send the smoke signal up, bring Matt back into the conversation.
That's the Matt signal, not the bat signal. It's the Matt signal.
It's weird because we can actually see you doing it now, Alex.
So wait, just somebody text a picture of Soundwave to Matt, and that's the Matt signal. We're ready for you to re-enter the atmosphere, Matt.
All right. Is that all you've been playing, Alex? Was the Helldivers and Rocket League?
Yes, I have, and I will say that I have because I like my whole YouTube reel is just Helldivers now. Like I saw somebody like on the Starship when you're the Super Destroyer when you're getting ready to shoot down into the planets. That little viewing glass there where you can look down at the planet and see like everybody shooting down and seeing like battles on the ground. There was a video on YouTube where some guy just jumped out of that. Like there was no glass there and he just jumped down to the planet.
I had watched a video the other day where there was 3 guys on a planet and one of them goes, "Hey guys, do you think maybe Super Earth government is lying to us?" And the other 2 turn and goes, "That's traitor talk," and just executed him right there.
Yeah, I saw that where they're like hinting at the illegal broadcasts are actually put out by Super Earth, and yeah, I saw that.
All right, let's get into our topics. This one, I don't know how it stayed in the agenda because I know there was conversation beforehand, but Alex brought this to our attention. Skull and Bones reportedly performing worse than Suicide Squad. Matt's only note.
Oh, we're skipping that one.
I thought so too, but it's in the agenda still.
So I'm leaving it for this point. So read my note.
Oh, okay.
Matt's note was,
I follow.
Let's hint that there's information that may indicate Skull and Bones is retaining less players than Suicide Squad. But to compare, let's look at this tweet showing Sea of Thieves is one of the top best-selling PlayStation games since it was announced. And then there's a picture in our agenda that shows the pre-orders most best-selling. Skull and Bones is first and fifth.
Sea of Thieves is first.
I'm sorry, Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves
And
is
the
first.
reason,
The deluxe edition is first. The standard edition is fifth.
and the reason I bring this up is because the article that was put up offered absolutely no data or verifiable data, because the problem is you can go off of consoles, but on PC, Skull and Bones is only sold through the Ubisoft store. It's not available on Steam, so you can't get your stats. So all this to say is that people are putting out articles. People read your articles, understand that there's stuff behind them, and if they're not giving you any real data, move on. But this is just, as far as the Skull and Bones controversy thing going on, just showing people really kind of want Sea of Thieves compared to what Skull and Bones is offering.
Okay, so just for clarification, because I know we had this conversation on the show, the Sea of Thieves, the base game is $40, the deluxe edition is $50, and the premium edition is only $60. So, we had a conversation about what the price point was going to be when it came out, and I think we all said around like $40, right?
Yeah, the base price is $40.
Yeah, because that's what it was comparably to other digital stores.
Yeah, I know there was a little bit of a conversation about, would it come out at full price on the PlayStation? And I think we all said no. My other question to you, Matt, is Skull and Bones available through the Epic Store? Because I know Ubisoft normally partners with the Epic Store.
I'll check, but I don't think so. That's the thing. It's generally, since it's a Ubisoft game, it's going to be directly on Uplay Connect.
Well, I know other Ubisoft games are on both Steam and Epic Store. That's why I was asking.
I think I am wrong. Yes, you could buy Skull and Bones on Epic Store for $44.99. How long after release, and it's already discounted?
Well, we had the same conversation about Suicide Squad as well.
Yep.
All right, moving on to our next topic. Star Wars Jedi director announces new studio to make a AAA narrative-driven single-player action-adventure game. That's a hell of a headline. This is coming from IGN and written by Ryan McCaffrey. If you remember, a couple months ago, reports came out that Jedi and God of War director Stig Amundsen was leaving EA. Now we can report Stig has gone and created his own studio called Giant Skull. A recent announcement from the famed director stated that they are working on a new premium AAA narrative-driven single-player third-person action-adventure game. Damn, that's a mouthful.
That's what she said.
And I didn't even need Matt to say that in the agenda. That was just a lot.
It just goes to show.
When asked why he left Respawn and how this project came about, Stig said, quote, "Honestly, it's not something I was looking for." He explained, "I was very happy at Respawn. Love the team, love the studio. EA was great. It was more just I was approached with a really interesting opportunity. It was like if you started your own kernel in my brain, wow, that would be like starting my own studio. It was something that was incredibly enticing. I think we all have respect for Stig in the games he's made. He's done a fantastic job with both the Jedi games for EA. I think he was the director for God of War 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. So
because 2 was Cory Barlog, and number 1 was obviously Jaffe.
Yeah. So it's weird that every one of those games outside of the 2018 remaster has been done by a different director. You figure they want the same director for all the games, but even the PSP games were done by different directors.
Well, I mean, when they changed went from Grecian God of War to 2018 God of War in Norse mythology, you might want to shake it up a little bit there. You may not want the same person who did the Greek ones to be doing that one, but I mean, obviously Cory Barlog did a good job with it, and he did the second game. So,
no, I was saying God of War 1, 2, and 3 all had different directors. Both PSP games had different directors from previous. The only returning director in any of the God of War games ever made was Cory Barlog, who did God of War 2 and the 2018 remaster. Or not remaster, remake, whatever.
I mean, it always depends on what, what opportunities are for those directors. People may see new opportunities and be like, well, I'd rather, go make this game. Jaffe was still doing some Twisted Metal around then. Jaffe, was doing other games like Calling All... Well, no, this was...
Didn't he do Drawn to Death?
Well, he did Drawn Death. He did Calling All Cars on the PS3. I think that was on the PS3. Was Cell Damage one of his games too? I don't know. He was doing all kinds of different games, and obviously they brought him back to do Twisted Metal, and he was doing some PS2 Twisted Metal games too. So I mean, it all depends on what they asked them to do within the.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm just saying I think it's weird that you would want like the same director on all the games. But let's bring this back to Stig. Any hope on or speculation you guys want to make about what Stig is doing? Because obviously he can't do another Star Wars game, and we're going to get a third director for the third Jedi game from EA.
Why couldn't he do another Star Wars game?
Didn't we get a report that they were not licensing their properties anymore? Am I misremembering?
Well, I know that EA had canceled a Star Wars game.
I might,
but the Mandalorian game got canceled at EA, and they did all those cuts. But I mean, did Matt or did we talk about Disney not licensing out Star Wars anymore?
I think they were thinking about it, but nothing official.
All right. But okay. So speculation. What do you guys think that Stig is working on? Because it's a.
Who the fuck knows? You heard the description, like it's incredibly like general. It's very, I mean, it's. I mean, maybe down the line when if we had Giant Skull starts hiring people or putting out job it's like, hey, we're looking for people to do this. Like maybe then we can kind of take a shot at guessing what they're going to do, take a few stabs in the dark. But basically, given the description we have here, it's just it can do anything. It kind of is in line with what the kind of games that honestly Sony makes and PlayStation, more so than either Nintendo or Microsoft. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, always just, a game for Sony or PlayStation. So yeah, just anything, all pure speculation because we literally have nothing to go on until they start hiring people and maybe we get little glimpses there.
All right. Yield, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, until they actually announce their game and what they're doing, they could fold up in 3 years. So,
well, let's hope they're not Deviation Games, Yield.
No,
I'm
hoping that we get something out of them because we could always use more third-person action adventure games. But with the way the industry has gone, there's no sense in running this up the flagpole as something really awesome when next week it could all be done.
I was going to make a really dark comment, but I'm going to say there's a lot of incredibly talented people on the market right now. Matt.
Well, I mean, with all the layoffs, yes, there are
that's
a ton of people out there who probably still need jobs and could form many different development studios.
That's where I was going. Matt, your thoughts on this?
The only thing to add is expect it to be somewhere between God of War 3 and Jedi Fallen Order. I think you're going to see an open world. I think you're going to see a protagonist gain powers through experience and overcome challenges. Like that seems to be his
wheelhouse,
his specialty.
All right. What's becoming a specialty now is people leaving Embracer. Our next topic is coming from Komatsu, written by Sal Romano. Saber Interactive is to split from Embracer. An agreement has been made between Embracer and Beacon Interactive in a $247 million deal to transfer Saber Interactive. Beacon is controlled by Saber Interactive co-founder Matthew Karch, and this deal will allow Saber to retain various subsidiary studios, including DIGIC, Fractured Byte, Madhead Games, New World Interactive, Nimble Giant Entertainment, Sandbox Strategies, Slipgate Ironworks, and 3D Realms. In a statement released by Karch on the chosen studios, quote, "We have decided precisely on these studios for acquisition because we believe any represent the best of what Saber is and can be. This group comprises some of the most talented and creative developers in our world. Our track record, and more importantly, the products we have in development speaks volumes about our capabilities. I truly believe we currently have the best collection of game developers in the industry thanks to all of you." I gotta look up Saber Interactive because I don't know exactly what games they make, but I'll go to you, Matt, first to get the comments
They
going.
were reportedly, before leaving Embracer, they were working on the KOTOR remake.
Oh, I did know that one. I just want to see what other games they made.
Did
Matt,
they make Dead Island too?
if you give me 2 seconds, I will look it up, sir.
I'm gonna turn on my light here because it's getting kind of dark here in Kentucky.
Yes. Matt, your thoughts why I'm looking this up, because I just see the subsidiaries right now.
I think this goes in line with our next news story, which I won't spoil for the fans. But yeah, no, I think this is exactly what needed to happen, is that groups need to leave under Embracer's umbrella, do their own thing, and make the games they were intending to make without Embracer's folding multiple areas. I think you're probably going to see some downsizing, some layoffs from this move, as they try to make sure that they are lean enough to be profitable in their move. That's the big thing. So I don't be surprised if we see more layoffs from Beacon Interactive sometime in the near future, but it's all part of the move out from Embracer.
Some of the games they made, Expeditions, a Mud Runner game, which recently just came out like 2 weeks ago.
Just came out last week.
Yeah.
Well, 2 weeks as of hearing this.
March 5th. They
Snow
made
Runners, Mud Runners,
Quake Champions,
World War Z,
Evil Dead the game.
Ghostbusters, a video game.
Evil Dead the game.
Evil Dead.
Crisis 3 remastered. They did make Halo 3 ODST and Halo 4. WWE 2K Battlegrounds, Crisis remastered. They were on Halo, all the Halos, apparently. With 343 Studios, not back when it was with Bungie. And they made the MX Nitro series. So
You're saying they did not make Dead Island 2?
I don't see it in the list. They made Shaq Fu.
That's not one. That and Battlegrounds, WB Battlegrounds, you probably don't want to be bragging about that.
But yeah, all right. So yield your comments. Obviously, this is a studio that you've played some games from.
Well, I mean, I'm glad because since Embracer is axing people after they bought everybody just to collect them, it seems. I'm glad to see one of the studios that I enjoy games from to get out from underneath them.
All right, Alex, your thoughts?
Real quick correction. Dead Island 2 is a 2023 action role-playing game developed by Dambuster Studio and published by Deep Silver. So, we still haven't figured out where KOTOR is going to be, right? We assume that KOTOR is still at Embracer, stuck there.
We'll get into that in our next topic.
Okay. I mean, yeah, Embracer made a massive mistake by trying to buy all these companies or trying to collect video game companies because they obviously don't know what to do with them and they can't lead them. So as many can get away, as many studios can branch off and become independent without people having to be fired is a good thing. These companies have been working, these studios have been working together for a long time. They have a good core. And if they can just continue their operations just under, their own selves instead of the management of Embracer, that's a good thing. So hopefully it's Gearbox can find a new home and get away from Embracer, and just anyone in the games spot that can be saved, get away from Embracer. I think that would just be for the best, because Embracer's very clearly getting the hell out of the game, as they probably should.
I don't know if they're getting out of the game. I think they're just downsizing.
I mean, if you're getting rid of Gearbox, like, what else are you keeping?
Listen, sometimes you got to get rid of the big guns to support the little guns.
Okay.
Listen,
whatever, but I figure
like the Packers, they got to get rid of Aaron Rodgers to bring up the new talent.
Well, didn't the Packers just dropped Aaron Jones, or released Aaron Jones, but then went and got Josh Jacobs from the Raiders, who I'm sure cost them more money.
I was making an analogy that you're now trying to pick apart.
Anyway, if you're getting rid of your most prominent studio, which is probably Gearbox, I would say you're probably getting rid of everything. That's my thought. Because they were using, I remember us talking about how they were using Gearbox as a publishing arm too for their game stuff. So what, is Crystal Dynamics still under them? Didn't they buy Crystal Dynamics?
I think Crystal Dynamics separated, didn't they? I think they left on their own a while back. Somebody bought them.
Yes, but they were part of Square Enix.
Hold on. Crystal Dynamics.
Because Square Enix sold them off to somebody.
Crystal Dynamics, according to Wikipedia, their parent organizations are Square Enix, Eidos Interactive, Embracer Group. Yeah.
Yeah, so Embracer bought them from Square Enix.
Is that what it was?
Because remember, that's when Square Enix was slimming down, it looked like, and everyone was theorizing that Sony was going to buy them. They were slimming down to be bought.
They're owned by they're owned by CDE Entertainment right now. I'm looking it up.
Yes, well, if anyone can escape the clutches of Embracer, it's probably good to do so, because they're probably going to fire you regardless.
Yeah, Gearbox and THQ Nordic are the other big studios that I see. Well, Zen Studios, they do a lot of small stuff, Zen Pinball and some of the smaller games.
Matt, sir, you got any thoughts on this as Tricky's kind of looking for info?
Yeah, like I said, it's good that they're getting out and doing their thing, and I think to your guys' point, I really hope that they survive long enough to put out a game, because they're going to need to be able to put out something successful to continue on, because that's $240 some odd million, a lot of money.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but when they left, they also, I think they ended up spending a little bit more than that, because they ended up taking what was it, the deal? There was a bunch of other small studios that was kind of under Saber to begin with, that they came back and got the funding and took with them. I think it ended up being like over $300 million.
Good, yeah, Tricky mentioned all those.
They took Zen Studios and a bunch of other little studios with them.
Tricky mentioned all those in the and when he was reading the news
a
moment ago, but you had to figure, I mean, Stig being someone like you, the head of this of Giant Skull, you'd figure that being a veteran of the industry and seeing what's going on, he's not going to take a chance to leave EA, who he was happy at. He was happy to EA and Respawn. You don't think that he is going to take a flyer and risk, going to a studio that's not going to last that long? There's got to be something behind the studio and whoever's backing it that gives him enough confidence to feel like he can do that.
Well, it's also it's his own studio. He's not right now. He's an independent studio. He's not owned.
I know, but someone has to be backing that. Does
Oh, yeah.
Stig have enough money? Someone came to him with the opportunity, or at least that's the way it seemed in the article, is that he was presented with this opportunity, and then he was able to break with EA based on the opportunity that was brought to him. There's got to be a financial backer behind this. It's not just Stig with his money.
Well, the report's not saying who's with him, but you have to assume that he's probably a co-owner with whoever came to him with the thing. So according to Wikipedia, the Embracer Group, that Crystal Dynamics is still under Embracer, but they're under a subsidiary called CDE Entertainment. That's the best I can find.
Do want to bring up, Respawn, that was the studio, right, that was supposed to be doing the Mandalorian game that they canceled, correct?
Yes, correct.
Was it Respawn that was doing it?
Yes.
Matt, does that jibe with what we remember talking about?
Sounds like it tracks because it was under EA, and therefore Respawn was the one with the Star Wars licenses.
So that could also play another role. I mean, this has happened around the same time where not only do they, who knows? Stig could just be saying, not wanting to burn bridges, say, I love EA, I love the team there, I love working there. Meanwhile, EA just announced a bunch of layoffs, and they canceled a Mandalorian game that Respawn's supposed to be doing. I mean, this all could be playing into the same thing. So, but I still think, again, that Stig is smart enough to not go out and take a big enough a risk where he thinks, this could be just a complete flop. I think he's smart enough to know, what a good opportunity is, and if things are really better at EA, maybe you just run with it and say, I'm safer here. I'm not going to go mess with that.
All right, well, let's talk about things that are being messed with and go into our next article here. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake sounds a long way away. This is coming from IGN, written by Wesley Yinpool. As part of the announcement that KOTOR remake developer Saber Interactive splitting from Embracer, the conglomerate stated it was still publishing a number of Saber games, including a previously announced AAA game based on a major license. This is assumed to be the KOTOR remake. During an interview, Embracer confirmed this AAA game would not be launching in the next 12 months. In a recent tweet, Saber confirmed that they are still developing, including Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, Toxic Commando, Jurassic Park Survival, but no mention of the KOTOR remake. This leaves release dates in question as the latest split only muddles the waters on where the troubled remake is in its development cycle. Let's go to Yield first.
So you're telling me there's still a chance?
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm going to actually be the opposite. I'm going to say, don't get your hopes up, folks. Assume it's dead and it's never come out. And that way, if it comes out, you can be pleasantly surprised.
I agree with that.
All right.
Because if I'm Saber and I'm working on KOTOR, Star Wars license, I'm saying that. Like, if I'm definitively working on that, the only reason you don't mention it is because everything is in flux. You don't know if you're still the one developing it, or if it's going to stay at Embracer and Embracer finds somebody else to finish it, or if the product's it's shelved and it maybe come back to later, may not be, or maybe dead altogether. So, again, people are assuming that those comments were made in reference to KOTOR. We don't know that, though.
All right, Matt, your thoughts?
What comes out first? KOTOR remake or Metroid Prime 4? It's a legitimate question. I have no clue at this point.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Probably Half-Life 3 comes out before all of them.
Wow. Yield's like...
that hurts.
Well played, Alex.
Right here.
I'm not doing it. It's Valve, not me. I'm not doing it to you. Valve's doing it.
Oh, Valve isn't doing anything.
They're like George R. R. Martin. They're not doing anything. Finish the damn books or give them to somebody else.
Is he still writing the books?
Yes.
I thought he said he wasn't writing the books anymore.
Definition of writing.
He's got his hands in so many different projects. They just announced that they're doing a prequel to House of the Dragon. So they're doing yet another TV series. He obviously was involved with Matt, help me. The From Software game. Why can't I think of it? Elden Ring, yeah. So he's got his hands in so many different projects. There's also, I've heard rumors, and Ashley is in book circles, so she's a big reader, so she would know. There's also been rumors that Brandon Sanderson, who pumps out books like the rest of us breathe, is someday going to take over the series from him. But, as far as I know, anybody else knows, I guess it's still up to Martin whether they get finished or not.
I'm still good over here because I'm having technical issues. Okay. Let's move on. We do have some questions from the community.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
All right. Our first question is coming from Mr. Priestley. Tricky, do you feel that playing Division 2 stops you from beating more games and achieving more platinums? And then Yield made a gift comment. That's a big oh yes. But now, the answer is yes. It obviously does. But I'm going to pose this question to you guys. You guys, both, two of you have the platinum in Helldivers, and you still say you're playing it. I think the bigger conversation is what keeps you driving to play a game. Because obviously I'm driven to keep playing Division 2 because of more content. What's going to keep you guys driving to play more Helldivers?
3 things, Tricky. 3 things. Core fun gameplay. Squad mates, friends who play it, and new content. And right now, Helldivers has all of those. So, and yes, by nature of someone playing a game, continuing to play a game, you only have so much time in the day. You can't play 2 games at once. So any game you're playing that you have all the trophies in is going to keep you from earning trophies in other games.
Yield.
What Alex said, and I'm still helping the guys work towards their platinums as well, and it's still fun. There's still a lot more to come out. I mean, they just released the mechs a couple of weeks ago, so there's still more to come out. There's still more to flesh out.
We're going to have to drag Tricky to the platinum, too.
We're going to have to, because he's the only one. He's branded a traitor right now, not spreading managed democracy the way he should be.
Tricky, did you run away from battle? Did you run outside the combat zone?
I did not. I died with honor with Yield.
Yeah, he did.
The rest of us are fighting on Heath, trying to defend Heath from the Terminid Scourge, and you're over here playing the Division 2.
Well, okay.
We need your help, Tricky. We need all the firepower we can get.
Okay, here's my problem with Helldivers. I don't like the way it controls.
That sounds like treason over there.
I was waiting for Matt's face because I was like, it took him a few seconds to process, but
listen. I don't like how you have
how
to
it
call
feels
it
natural. How it feels like home, like a warm cup of soup.
Are you going to let me talk? You're just going to keep talking over me.
I'm disgusted.
I don't like the way you call in the stratagems. I really don't like that.
Well, obviously he didn't play Helldivers.
Matt actually moved to a different position that time.
Matt, what's your problem? Talk to me, sir.
Have you never played an Arrowhead game before?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to look them up to see if I have.
Magicka and Magicka 2.
No, I did not play them.
Okay. It's actually a core piece of the gameplay because you're supposed to have to be able to multi-manage systems as you're running around not dying or potentially killing your teammates. So that's been a thing in all of their games so far. Okay. As far as not liking calling down the stratagems, that whole text you sent about the Stream Deck and using it to make macros, yeah, that's actually a thing that people are doing because they don't like that. It was something I looked at doing as well, but I'm starting to get muscle memory on some of my stratagems to be able to call in reinforcements when I need to without looking at it. Just you got to play it more.
Listen, I'm not saying it's a bad game mechanic. I'm saying I don't like it.
Okay, and you're allowed to not like it, but it's a third-person action shooter, which is right up your alley.
It is. Well, the first time I played it, I got destroyed by Terminators, but I went in there by myself. The second time I played it, I was carried through, didn't know what the hell I was doing. And the third time I played it, I died with honor with Yield.
What difficulty were you Yield? What difficulty were y'all playing on? Were you going suicide mission with Tricky?
I was playing Suicide on my own because I was going for epics, and then Tricky decided to just join my game. And so, needless to say, he got railroaded because I was just specifically running to do the objective. And he would join in, and I just kind of like, well, you're on your own, buddy.
Well, let me ask.
All you got to do for listeners who haven't played it, all you have to do for the stratagems is hold down L1 on the PlayStation controller on the DualSense, and then it's like a little button press mini game, like
it's a quick time event.
Yeah, it's like you got to put it. It's like putting in a cheat code. Hold L1 and then press up, down, left, right, right, left. It's not necessarily always that involved, but you just got to put in directions on the D-pad. It's not that hard once you get used to it.
I don't know.
But again, you are allowed not to like it, Tricky. But I think that your view comes from, and because remember this, you didn't like Ghost of Tsushima. You did not like Ghost of Tsushima when you first played it. Mm-hmm. But then once you played it more, you got on board with me and Yield, and you actually have played it twice now.
I've gotten the platinum.
You played it on 2 different consoles. Yes. So I think.
Listen, again, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I just don't like it, and maybe once I get used to it, it becomes second nature to throw out the stratagem. So like Matt was saying, it's muscle memory, like calling down the reinforce and the resupply and all that stuff. I haven't given it a full shot yet, so I'm not going to say it's a bad game in any way, shape, or form. To me, it's not standing out. It's something I want to play. Now. And
also, if you've just played with you and Tross, and then you've also just played you and Yield, you haven't played with a full squad yet, where other people are calling down stratagems, where it's not just on you to call down stratagems. You have other people to rely on to call down eagles, to call down orbitals. So, like I said, we're not giving you shit for not liking it so far, but
Yield is.
I do think that if you put more time into it, you would have a better idea of whether or not you actually like it or not.
All right, so let's set up a game night where you guys can show me everything.
Well, if I'm not editing, playa, I'm on almost every night.
All right.
You're on my friends list. You can see me playing.
Same here.
Hell, even Matt found us. When Matt joined our game this past week, I'm like, who the fuck is this NRD person, NDR person? And then I read the name, NDR, Ender, and then, I think it was FNX Matt or something like that. Oh, Ender Phoenix. It took me a little bit, but I figured it out. I was like, how the fuck did Matt find us?
I was trying to figure that out too, and then all of a sudden I saw a breaker, the fire breaker going off, and then shortly after that, I saw the guy whip out a flamethrower and start flaming people, and I'm like, that's got to be Matt. I know exactly who that is.
Well, you did add him to your friends list, Yield. I mean, I added Matt too. Same time.
He's on PC though.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, but you get that. So when you generate friend code, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
It changes every time.
When you do that, like if Matt was to be on, either one of you can generate the friend code, and then you search that, and then you can add him to your game friend list that way. So then when you go to socials, they're on there. So Matt's on my friend list.
Yeah,
because of that, everybody who plays at PlayStation automatically shows up. Who's on your friend list? They automatically show up once they log into the game for the first time.
Yeah, it was the same day that I died with Yield that I added Matt. So
and the thing is I don't have Alex on my list because when you sent the text about, hey, we're in game chat, Alex, and I asked room for one more, I could see that Yield was in a game with 3 out of 4 people. I didn't know Alex was already in there because I don't see your username on my friends list yet.
So it sounds like Alex and Matt just need to become friends.
Yes.
Helldiver friends.
All right.
I will take all the risk with fire that I need to make that happen.
All right, next question. Also covered from Joe. Have any of you reached the point where you feel it's not necessary to buy games at full price, especially seeing as most games are not worth $70, seeing as they are incomplete and filled with bugs?
So I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So I've been doing that probably the last couple of generations, mainly for the fact of my backlog has gotten so big that unless I'm playing the game day one, or I think I'm going to play it day one, I don't pick it up, and I pick up a lot of stuff on the cheap. So that's my answer. So I'm kind of already living that.
All right, Alex.
The answer for me, I guess, is no. I am judicious with my money, so I'm not, buying as many games as I used to. Especially, like now, I have 2 live service games in Helldivers and Rocket League that I'm going to play the shit out of. So, I mean, I don't really feel the need to buy a new game now. As far as spending $70 on games, I do understand why the industry moved to that. So I don't have a problem spending that much money on a game. It just has to be a game that I want to play, that I want to spend that much money on. If I feel a game is worth that amount of money, I'll buy it day one. Horizon Forbidden West is an example of that. Ghost of Tsushima 2, when it launches, will probably be a day one purchase for me, and I'll spend $70 on it. No issue. So it really just depends on the game. If it, I think it's worth $70, then I'll, and I really want to play it, I'll buy it.
Matt?
I buy full price games all the time, whether the price is $70, $50, $40. But you also see I take full advantage of buying games on sale, and Steam has games on sale all the time. And some games I'll wait for, but as to the question, no. I mean, I will always pretty much be buying games at full price because there's games I want to buy and play day one.
Yeah, same thing. It's like if I feel like I'm gonna play day one, obviously like games like The Last of Us, and Spider-Man, stuff like that. I'll be buying Wolverine day one. I will be buying the Blade game if it comes to PlayStation.
The Division 3.
Division 3 day one. I'll probably be in that beta.
That'll be a day zero purchase for Tricky. He'll find some way to buy it before day one.
I do have a contact with Ubisoft, so I'm really looking forward to playing.
Hopefully that contact doesn't work at the Shanghai studio that made Skull and Bones, because they may not be around much longer.
No, they work at massive studios, which I may be able to get a review code for Outlaws when it comes out too. But yeah,
you actually have to review it first and foremost.
Maybe. And Gareth left a comment to see. He goes, I buy one game a year at full price, which is FIFA. I never buy anything else for more than £20. I either get it on a sale or wait for the subscription services to get it. Next question. This one is going directly to Matt. Matt, if the Switch 2 is not backwards compatible, will you still be getting one? And 2, will it hurt the overall sales of the console?
Yes, and I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. If you make a Switch that's backwards compatible, people will buy the new one instead of the old one. If you make it not backwards compatible, people will buy the new one, and perhaps there'll still be people buying the old one because the new one won't play the new games. So I think it being backwards compatible will hurt the sales of the new one, but nothing stopping the 155 million units sold train. That's coming. That's gonna happen.
Even though this was addressed at Matt, I do want to make a comment because I don't agree with Matt on one point. Nintendo has never cared about backwards compatibility. The Wii Shop, you bought games on there. Well, you can say that, Matt. You can look that way, Matt.
Matt just shot a look just for the listeners.
Yeah, like all my Wii Shop shit didn't carry over to any other console. That got closed off there because it was tied to the Wii. And like Wii U games, they basically resold those. They didn't bring them to the Switch. They resold them as games.
I'm going to lean back as Matt's about to fire. Matt, before you fire, yield your comments. Will you be buying the Switch 2 if it's not backwards compatible? And do you think it will hurt if it's not backwards compatible?
No, it's Nintendo. It won't hurt if it's not backwards compatible. And I haven't bought a Switch yet, so I will not be buying a Switch 2 until...
Oh, I thought you bought
one.
The
only way I'd buy a Switch 2 before I bought a Switch was if it was backwards compatible.
I thought you bought the Switch. Or was that with your brother?
Switch. My brother bought one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Got my my brothers confused. All right, Matt, fire away.
So I'll be nice about this, Al, in that you said Nintendo doesn't care about backwards compatibility. And while that's true in many examples of their digital storefront, from a physical perspective, the Game Boy Advance SP was able to play Game Boy Advance games. the Game Boy Color was able to play Game Boy regular Game Boy.
Hold on a second, Matt. I got to defend Alex here. You're talking about consoles in the same generation. I think Alex, and I don't want to speak for you, Alex. I think he's talking about like you couldn't play Nintendo games on a Super Nintendo. You couldn't play Super Nintendo games on the GameCube. You could generations, different iterations of the same console is not a fair argument. Alex, am I off base there?
I mean, let's be real. The Switch is a home console. It is also portable. It's a home console, and in the home console space, no, that stuff doesn't carry over generations because the medium always changes. You can't put a GameCube. I mean, what could some of the GameCube discs you could put in the Wii? Could you play some of those in the Wii?
Yeah, you could play most, if not all, GameCube games on the Wii, and then you could play most, if not all, Wii games on the Wii U. It's when they switched physical media from the Wii U disc-based to Switch is when that stopped being a thing.
Yes.
Because then also the new Nintendo 3DS was able to play old 3DS games. So you're valid to a point, but then again, very few companies have ever offered that far of a leap in backwards compatibility. Xbox 360 could play Xbox OG games. Only after many updates was the Xbox One able to play Xbox OG games, and I think a couple Xbox 360 games. And then the Series X is just, we want you to be able to play anything everywhere. The PS2 could play PS1. The PS3 could play all PS1, and some PS3s could play PS2. The PS4 could not play anything backwards compatible. The PS5 can play PS4 games, and it has streaming for PS3 and below. So I would argue Nintendo has been the most friendly company when it comes to backwards compatibility, but within limits, as you said, to the physical medium.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the handheld space for Nintendo is dead because it's now mixed with the home console space. It's in the Switch. So, but I think that it's easier. It's been easier for Microsoft and for Sony to do backwards compatibility because everything they've ever done is on a disc. Obviously, Nintendo has moved away from that because they did the mini disc on GameCube, they did disc on Wii, and I never owned a Wii U, but was the Wii U discs also? What was the medium?
Yeah, the Wii U was a disc, and what happened is if you put your Wii disc into the Wii U, you launch the Wii Virtual Console, which then you'd have to use the sensor bar and a Wiimote to play the Wii games. But the Wii U could play Wii games. It couldn't go back further to play GameCube games. So
but now that a Switch is more, your online purchases are more tied to an account that you put on the Switch, those are more likely to carry over. And I think that we've seen that since they have made a move away from discs, because they didn't move to cartridges for the Switch to move back to disc. They're probably done with disc, and they're just going to go with cartridges going forward. I would say that their games are going to be backwards compatible because they're probably going to keep those cartridges that they've been running for on the Switch.
So, yeah, and they did something similar when they did the transition from the 3DS to the new 3DS, and it was kind of like the same thing. I remember many console generations ago, handheld generations ago, it was the same thing, is that the new 3DS games had a notch on them that you could not physically insert them into an old 3DS, and that's how they prevented people from putting the newer games in the older consoles. I could see them doing something fairly similar with a Switch 2 that would be backwards compatible with Switch 1 games.
All right, so before we go on to our next listener question, I have a general question for the group. We've kind of talked about this in the past, but when it comes to a company making their next console, should backwards compatibility be something that they're even considering? Because the argument could be made, if you stop backwards compatibility, it gives people reasons to buy the next console, where, if like Alex has said a couple times, and Alex, I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but you've said you don't buy a PS5 to play PlayStation 4 games. So with that mentality, should Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo even worry about backwards compatibility in their next generation of consoles? I was going to start with Yield.
I thought you were going to throw it to me since you
Well, no, that's something you said. That's but Yield, I want you to go first.
Well, I mean, I always like it as an option. Whether I use it or not, it's a nice option.
Because currently, right now, and again, I'm not trying to speak for you, but you've said if it's a 4 game, you're going to play it on your 4. If it's a 5 game, you can play it on your 5. That's one of the reasons why you've had your 5 for so long and didn't open it up, because you were still going through your 4 backlog, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, there's arguments to be made. Alex, I'll throw it to you now.
So for me, when I kind of realized that I wasn't going to go back and play a lot of games, I mean, like, I may want to go back and play some Super Nintendo games or some like NES games, like, you know, I Mega Man games. Like, I love to go back and play those every now and again, but it's not, you know, a breadth of games that I'm looking to go back and replay because, you know, we only have so much time in our day. There are new games coming out. I got shit to do. You know, I can't play always classic games and then also, you know, service my need for new games as well. But I figured this out when I had a PlayStation 3, and I was, I was like, oh, I'll see which one of my PS2 games I want to play. And because I play a lot of story-driven single-player games, I beat the game, and then it's like, well, I did that experience, and even if I love a story like, say, an Uncharted, I'm not going to go back and play it because I've already, it's why I'm probably not going to get the Until Dawn remake. I've played that to death. I got the platinum. I've seen the endings that I need to see, and so I don't need to. I'll see the movie. But I don't need to play the game again. But I was, I played one game from my PS2 on my PS3, and it was a SmackDown versus Raw game, and that was it. Only game I ever played, despite buying the console that could replay game. They could, play old games. And so from that moment on, I've been like, you know what? It sounds nice on paper, but it's not something I ever really use. And again, these companies have the data to see what people are playing. And they know whether people are going to play on, these old games on their consoles. So I don't know. I think that part of the reason we've shifted away from that somewhat, and companies may not feel the need to do backwards compatibility, is because they do realize that when it comes to taking a disc and putting a disc from the old days into your newer console, most people don't do that. If you give it to an option digitally, like a hard-to-find PS1 game or something like that, then yeah, maybe you'll get that happening. People, I would say, are probably more likely to play digital games from the past than they are to play physical, like actually get the physical game out and put it in their console and play it on that. But I don't think backwards compatibility is as much of a breaker. It's not a breaking point for most people as people think it is. I think some people are extremely loud about it, but I think most people don't care about it.
Matt, your thoughts?
I'm going to break away from Alex on this one and say that it makes it more enticing to buy it because I don't have to now have multiple consoles set up in my entertainment room to be able to play games, and to the point of digital, yeah, you had a PS4 and you're playing Rocket League, you buy a PS5, there's really no difference. It's a digital only game. But when I had a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 that could play better on the PS5 and I want to go back to that, I always have that opportunity. But I think from a manufacturing standpoint, I understand it gives some additional challenges and development challenges when you're making a console. But I think it's actually an incredibly important thing for these consoles to have to make bridging the gap from one generation to another a lot easier than it's been. And if you have a console that doesn't have a lot of great day ones, I mean, when the PS5 came out, I had Miles Morales. Did Miles Morales come out day one?
I don't think it was.
I just sworn it was. We had Astro's Playroom, but then there wasn't a whole hell of a lot PS5 day one games that I was like, oh, I must have. But the fact I had the console and I could put in a PS4 disc makes those initial couple months easier to absorb with wanting to get it day one. So I still feel it's an incredibly important thing for these consoles to support.
Looking up right now, there was
the Dark Souls remake, that was a day one thing.
PlayStation 5 launch games, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Astro's Playroom, Borderlands 3, Bugsnatch, Call of Duty Cold War, Dead by Daylight, Demon Souls, Devil May Cry 5, Dirt 5, Fortnite, Godfall, Gunya Fighter, King Oddball, Man Eater, Miles Morales, I apologize, and Spider-Man Remastered, and Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate.
But to be honest, that's a better day one lineup than most consoles, because most consoles do not launch with a good lineup. They may have one game, but they typically don't launch with a whole lot.
But I want to point out a lot of these games, they were released before the PlayStation 5 was released. So
yeah, that's not
I don't think that's a fair list.
So that's what I'm saying is look at the exclusives. You had Astro's Playroom, you had Bug Snacks, you had Miles Morales, which was a PS4 and a PS5 game, but it had a PS5 standalone version. And then Demon's Souls, I think, were really the exclusives that made the console like a reason to buy it. So everything else was a PS4 game that was also playable on PS5. And those are some decent games, but I wasn't buying Demon's Souls. I had Miles Morales, which was great. Astro's Playroom, I was done that afternoon. Bug Snacks was interesting to go through. But again, being able to have just one console, the latest console plugged in and available on my entertainment center means a lot to me as far as, all right, now I don't have to worry about HDMI switching and which console is which, and it made things easier.
My mistake. There's more games on this list. NBA 2K21, No Man's Sky, The Next Generation, Observer, System Redux, Overcooked, All You Can Eat, The Pathless, Planet Coaster, Console Edition, Poker Club, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Warhammer, Chaos Bane, Slayer Edition, Watch Dogs Legions, and WRC 9. Those are all the launch games. But again, some of those games were released before the 5 was. They just were available on 5 day 1. So I wouldn't necessarily call them 5 launch games, but just want to make sure that's clear. All right, let's move on to our next question. This is coming from Jeff Hanna because he wants to troll me. Why does hockey have to be played in a plexiglass walled playpen? This is stemming from, I don't know if you guys all saw it. Do you guys see the video where the guy gets checked into the boards really hard?
I'm
you
sure
have
there's
to be a lot more
of those out
specific.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
The one that I posted in the Facebook group.
Oh no, I didn't watch that one.
Okay. Guy get checked really hard into the board, and I made a comment about penalty, tripping the puck carrier 10 minutes. I said, oh wait, no, this isn't pussy ass football, play on. And then Jeff made this comment. V responded by saying, because I don't want a puck embedded in my skull. Yeah. If anybody's ever been hit in the head with a puck, that hurts. I have. It hurts.
That explains a lot.
Jeff responded by saying, people in the 60s just stood next to the track for F1 races. Tough enough, Buttercup. Well, I would say the people in the 60s were idiots, Jeff. And then V says, excuse me, no, I'm a precious little princess that needs my AC and internet. No. And then I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to say Joe's response, because Joe's just a butt nugget that, wants to troll instead of answering the question.
Here's the thing. Unlike certain leagues like Major League Baseball, NHL cares about its fans because, a bat and a foul ball can do a lot of damage and has done a lot of damage. But the NHL puts up plexiglass and nets to prevent pucks from smacking people in the head.
Yes, and reduce the liability for the team if someone should get hit in the head and have to go to, the doctor or the hospital. Because
I've played hockey, both ice and street. I could tell you a puck or a ball being shot and it ricochets off of a goalpost. It's very unpredictable. I actually put a video in the Facebook group too, where a guy was playing and the puck got embedded in between his face and the mask. It was almost took out an eye. All right, so I'm gonna skip Roberto's question for a second, just because it's long and it's very in depth. Joe also says, Tricky, you still want to die on the hill that Suicide is a good game. It's so good Sony gave everyone refunds. That's not true. It is a good game. Play the damn game before you make your comments. All right. Roberto's question. This is very in-depth and very long, so please pay attention for the next minute and a half while I read this.
I read the question already.
In 2018, Sony PlayStation instituted censorship policies similar to the Comics Code of the 60s. These rules for ID certain pieces of content in games.
They forbid
Oh,
certain pieces of content.
that's what I thought it said. Okay. Many titles, particularly anime and Japanese-based games like Neptunia, had entire pieces of content removed and barred from release. Even horror games like Martha is Dead was censored. This has forced Japanese developers to rely on Steam, Switch, and Xbox to release certain games, even some even foregoing Sony altogether. Next month, Stellar Blade launches as an exclusive for the PS5. A demo was accidentally released before Sony barred the demo. The early look of the game features an incredibly sexually attractive protagonist empowered by her feminine image that is fueled by action gameplay. Could this be a sign that Sony is doing away with such policies and welcoming back creative freedoms, or are they giving us this as a pass because they have nothing lined up until 2025? Yield, I will go to you first.
That's hard to say. I mean, it would be interesting if they were giving them more creative directions and cranking back on some of their restrictions. But, I mean, it's a Japanese JRPG, as in Stellar Blade, so their protagonists always are pushing the border or pushing the boundaries anyway. So it's hard to say. I mean, really, only time will tell if Sony is, releasing or lessening their restrictions on risque material.
Okay, I'm not very familiar with Stellar Blade, so I'm looking up some of these things. She doesn't seem to be overly sexualized.
Did you watch the State of Play?
I'm gonna say yes, but I don't remember.
Because it was a feature of the last State of Play.
I don't remember it. I'll go there. She doesn't look overly sexualized. I mean, I'm just looking at images. I'm not looking at videos. But Alex, we'll go to you.
I don't think that this is a sign that they're rolling things back entirely. I think it's more of a case-by-case basis where some games maybe kind of toe the line of the policy, and Sony's like, you know what? I mean, this is still within what we feel like we can, release, because doing something like banning certain content from your games is based, it's PR. It's you want to make they're not entirely family friendly, but you obviously want to keep certain things off your console because you don't want, specifically in terms of sexuality. I mean, obviously, we still in this country have a lot of issues where we will allow violence on TV, but sexuality is certain, something that we cover up and don't want people to see. So I think it's just a matter of them trying to protect their image because, again, sexuality is more taboo than violence is. So I think that in the case of this game, maybe it was just something they felt comfortable releasing on their console. I don't think it's necessarily that they just trying to fill gaps where they don't have anything. So we'll break this rule for this one game. I think they'll just roll with what they got in that case. But it's more just okay. We'll look at every game and say, we'll see if it adheres to our standards and what's we feel comfortable releasing on our console and have our players playing. And I think it's more just like they take it on a case-by-case basis. I don't think this is rolling an entire rule back. It's just kind of, all right, hey, this is within our guidelines. Even if it's close, we'll go ahead with it.
All right. Matt, your thoughts, sir?
Like Yield said, it's hard to say. I mean, who's developing Stellar Blade?
Give me 2 seconds. I'll tell you. Because I have
the reason being is, I'll listen for when you say it. But the reason being is, it may be a pay to play scenario where they're harder on certain developers and easier on others because the PR speak that Alex was talking about is it's easier to say, well, this person's independent, this person's AAA, therefore they have more freedom versus these people. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And frankly, this is a thing where sex sells, and it's a very attractive, thin, busty female kicking ass. I mean, they did that with Heavenly Sword. but also Nariko wasn't overly sexualized. Yeah, she may have not been dressed to the nines, but like it fit the gameplay style. This just looks to be, made attractive for attractive sake. Maybe there's a story behind it. Like in Mass Effect 2, Miranda was the most perfect woman ever created. I don't know. There's more to it. Even more so. Going back to Metal Gear Solid 5. There was a reason Quiet was running around.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
It's like maybe there's a gameplay reason for it.
There was. It was a weak reason, but there was a reason for it.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking about Stellar Blade now. Is that it? Maybe there's a gameplay reason that they're doing why they're doing it. I don't think it speaks to a larger thing overall at Sony as to their censorship. I just think it is that they're making a game that they hope sells.
I did. While I was looking at the pictures, one of the captions says that the more revealing costumes makes the game difficulty go up. I don't know. It was made by Shift Up Corporation, but it's being published by Sony, which is why I think Rebrushed having this question. According to this, it says Stellar Blade's viral, not safe for work skin suit will raise the game's difficulty. So I don't know how the two correspond. But do you think this is the reason why we don't get Bayonetta on the PlayStation anymore? Because
Bayonetta's on Nintendo. It's essentially a console exclusive to the Switch now.
I know that.
The reason we don't get Bayonetta. Because like if they would put it on a Nintendo console, then surely Sony would put it on a PlayStation. But no, Bayonetta. For those who don't know, Bayonetta's clothing is her hair. It's her hair, and when she does big attacks, her hair becomes dragons and shit, which means it's no longer covering her body. Now you're not seeing full frontal nudity, but obviously it's there is a sexual aspect to that, and Bayonetta herself does sexual dances and all this. I mean, it's a very sexual character. But no, like Nintendo got that as, I guess, an attempt to be more adult or have more adult content, on their console. They went out and essentially worked with Platinum Games to where Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3 were exclusive to the Switch. So that's it. It's on the Switch. Bayonetta 2 was on the was Bayonetta 2 on the what was Bayonetta 2 on?
Wii U.
Wii U. Okay. So yeah. So they announced that for the Wii U, and then Bayonetta 3 essentially was also a console exclusive for the Switch. And they released a package where Bayonetta 1 and 2 were available on Switch as well. So you could buy Bayonetta 1 and 2 as a package on Switch, and then also you could buy Bayonetta 3 separately. So yeah, it's not... Sexuality is not the reason why PlayStation doesn't have that.
Somebody's clapping.
Matt's got the copy of Bayonetta 2 for the Wii U.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a proponent for censorship as it is. I believe everybody should have a right to free speech and say what you want to say and do what you want to do within reasons. Okay, let's just not be clear. You don't have full rights to do anything you want to do. But I don't believe in censorship. And if you want to say something that makes you a jackass, then let people know you're a jackass. There are some things that people say all the time that I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to associate with you anymore. And, if people had a problem with Madison from Heavy Rain, that she was, sexualized and, because you saw her butt. I don't believe in
her boobies.
Did you?
Yep.
I don't remember. Although she's hot, so.
That's a weird thing to say, Tricky.
Yeah, you know what? I was never going to bring this up on the show, but now I'm going to bring it up. Yield, you know what I found out from Alex's significant other? That Alex does not find any cartoon character attractive.
What's wrong with that?
Because he will not admit that, like, Jessica Rabbit is sexy.
I don't think Jessica Rabbit, a cartoon, is sexy. Why am I the weird one for that?
Yeah, why is he the weird one? What's wrong with that?
Because it's a cartoon, but that doesn't take away her attractiveness.
That doesn't do it for him. That's
Matt,
in the eye of the beholder. Not everybody has to like the same thing.
I just find that weird. Matt, what do you have the capability of seeing a cartoon character attractive?
I am not touching this conversation with your dick, Tricky.
Come on.
Tricky says this as there is a big picture of Harley Quinn in the background.
Absolutely.
On his screen.
Tricky, I am not holding you. I am not saying you're weird for your preferences, Alex. I am not saying he's weird for his preferences. That is where I'm going to leave this.
I'm not saying like I'm going to go out and try to date these people or some equivalent. I'm just saying.
I would hope not.
But
that would be awkward.
But to say that a character is not attractive, I think is weird.
Tricky, whenever you go to a Disney World the next time, stay away from the mascots.
That's, oh my God.
Oh, that was good.
Moving on to our topic of the week.
Hey, you're the one that opened up the door. We just walked in.
All right, moving on to our topic of the week. Ex-PlayStation boss Sean Layden says exclusivity is your Achilles heel if the game cost exceeds $200 million. This is coming from IGN, written by Wesley Yinpool. Speaking in an interview with VentureBeat, the former CEO of SIE America said that when exclusives cost over $200 million, they become your Achilles heel. Quote, it reduces your addressable market, particularly when you're in the world of live service gaming or free-to-play. Another platform is just another way of opening the funnel, getting more people in. In a free-to-play world, as we know, 95% of those people will never spend a nickel. The business is all about conversion. You have to improve your odds by cracking the funnel open. Helldivers 2 has shown that for PlayStation, coming out on PC at the same time, and again, that you get that funnel wider. You get more people in, end quote. Part of the reason an offered ballooning cost of games over the last decade compared to stagnant install base. Quote, the dollars have gone up over time, but I look at that and see that we're just taking more money from the same people, end quote. So, Yield, I will again go to you first. Do you think exclusivity is the Achilles heel? And show laid on base.
No, I don't think it's your Achilles heel. Your Achilles heel is when you have game costs that exceed $200 million. And then in that instance, in what he's saying, yes. If you've got a game that costs $200 million to make and it's an exclusive game, it's really hard to make that cost back up. So you need to put it on other platforms to widen the funnel, like Sean said. But I personally feel that your Achilles heel, it's not exclusivity. It's a $200 million price tag on the budget of your game. That's your Achilles heel.
Well, yeah, that's what Sean Layden was saying. He said exclusivity is your Achilles heel if
it exceeds 200 million. Well, then yes.
So you agree with what he said.
Sorry. Then I agree with what he said. I missed that. Yes, I agree with what he's saying because exclusivity sells your console. That is why you go to a PlayStation, you go to Nintendo, you go to Xbox, right? They've got the games no one else has that you want to play. But there are games, and even if you time exclusive games, that you can broaden your horizon, I guess I will say, for a bigger income of money coming in. So I just, yeah.
All right.
Don't spend $200 million on a development of a game.
All right. So this is gonna kind of make your point a little bit here. Hint, Yield. But you guys are all enthralled with Helldivers 2 right now. What do you think? And this is just an estimate. This is not official. What do you think it costs to make Helldivers 2, development wise?
How the fuck should I know?
I was asking Yield.
I agree with Alex. How should I know? Guessing?
Yeah, guessing. Because if Sean Layden's saying $200 million, is, you spend that money and the game's exclusive. Obviously, Helldivers is not fully exclusive, but it is console exclusive. You played the game. You love the game. What do you think, Arrowhead spent to make that game?
No more than $5 million.
Okay. According to Reddit, again, this is not official, the game's estimated development cost was between $50 and $100 million over an 8-year period.
Might have been wrong with my second guess. I wasn't going to go no more than 10.
I would have guessed under 100 million easily. Because, you look at a game compared to, Skull and Bones, and Michelle Rodriguez has been on their commercials, and they've been playing on television. You don't see Helldivers commercials on television. You see them being pumped up by Sony in State of Plays. So right there, not having actors, not having, mocap, because the game doesn't have, or doesn't do, they don't have, on the level of, an Uncharted or something like that, where they do mocap to that level. You don't have known voice actors. You're not paying celebrities to be in the game. So, yeah, the game is going to cost less, and they took steps to make sure that the game didn't, coming off of, Helldivers 1 and seeing what they were able to sell and the money to make off that game, they were probably like, hey, we're not going to, they didn't expect the game to explode, so they had to keep costs in line. And, that's why everyone's looking at this game now and saying it's turning everything in the video game industry upside down because it's so successful, and it didn't cost $200 million to make. So.
All right, but do you think it's an Achilles heel, Alex, as Sean Layden is pointing out?
I think that if your strategy is to make $200 million games all the time, every game you make is $200 million and it's exclusive to your console, then yeah. You have to then make every game has to be successful. It has to sell a certain amount. You have to sell tens of millions of copies to make it work, because if that's your bet, if you're betting on games that are, what the Sony has done, where it's every game, and I'm not saying every game Sony makes is $200 million, but if every game you make is $200 million and then it's exclusive, well, like Sean Layden said, you reduce the amount of people that can buy your game because it's not on PC, which we've seen now Sony's getting more games on PC. It's not on Xbox, so you miss that market. So, yeah, I do agree with him that I think that if you make one $200 million game or a couple, that's fine. But if all those games that you're making are that big of an investment, you need to change your strategy. You need to focus on making also smaller games as well, so that, a Returnal that Housemarque made. You can't always make a $200 million game and everything be exclusive and expect to be fine, because there's an insane amount of risk with that. You've got too much money inside your game development. So I do agree with him. I do agree with what he said, but I don't think one or two games doing that, in a generation is going to kill you. If every Horizon game takes between $100 million and $200 million to make, I think that's a series you can bet on, and you're fine with that. But, you want to obviously keep your financials, for every game you make, a little bit more rolled back than that.
And it's also worth noting, Yield, I know you're about to say something, that it's been reported that over $2 billion has gone into the development of GTA 6, which is just insane. Yield, you were going to say something.
So I've noticed that a lot of these conversations, especially this one, is revolving around Helldivers 2. And it seems to be worded as if Sony made this decision to put it out on PC and PlayStation. And it wasn't their decision. It was Arrowhead's decision.
Sony published it, Yield.
Huh?
Sony published
it.
Yes.
They own Helldivers 2. Yes. This was not Arrowhead's decision. It was Sony's decision.
Okay. All right. Well, then that takes back what I was going to say.
Matt, your thoughts?
And who knows? And maybe obviously, I'm assuming there was a big jump in what it cost to make Helldivers 2 versus Helldivers 1 based on what the games are. So Arrowhead may have had to partner with Sony in order to get this game out.
Matt, your thoughts, sir?
It's exactly as Sean said, is that if you're going to make something exclusive, but you're also going to spend more than $250 million, and maybe that's his number. It could be more than 200, more than 150, whatever you think it is. That game's success depends on the number of units sold. And if you're reducing the pool of people who can buy it, especially now that you're in the PS5 generation, where there's less PS5s in the wild than there are PS4s, and you're going to make something exclusive, be sure of what your game's budget is. I mean, look at what Grand Theft Auto is doing. $1 billion game to create for GTA 6. And it's going to release on all systems because they need that. They need that to be able to recoup the development costs and the marketing costs. And now what you're going to see is what PlayStation is doing is that they're releasing games on the PS5, but then down the line they're doing it on PC. And with Helldivers being the example of same day and date release on PS5 as well as PC, they're starting to realize that there's benefits there. And I've been saying this time and time again. They're leaving money on the table. Yeah, you don't have to release something on the Xbox as well as the PS5, but give PC a chance to buy into your ecosystem, because that's what this is. If I wanted to play with you guys, if I didn't already have one, I would have had to create a PlayStation account. So they definitely need to look more into that as a possibility to recoup some of these development costs for these big budget games that are costing them so much.
And part of the reason why you see so many companies rely on sequels is because, or double down on sequels, is because when you are making a sequel to a game, you already have an idea of what the pool of people who will buy that game is going to be. So you already kind of know financially what you can recoup, what you can spend. With the success of the original Horizon game, Sony knew what they could reliably sell in a Horizon 2 Forbidden West, as long as they added to the gameplay, they didn't change it wildly. So, with sequels, it's a lot easier to bet on those than it is a new game. But
all right. I think that's going to bring us to the end of the show, gentlemen. Let's wrap it up and let's do some shout-outs. Yield, we'll start with you, sir.
Shout out to the Helldiver gang of Alex, Matt, Riley, Jones, Homer Gets Stuffed.
Tricky.
Tricky has not shown up.
By the time the show comes out, Tricky will be in the gang.
Well, when Tricky is in the gang, you will get a shout out. But until then, you do not, sir.
You're so mean to me.
I'm not mean to you. I am being real. A shout out to Tricky, Alex, and Matt for recording tonight.
Yeah, I got a shout out.
Yeah, you were going to get one. Shout out to everybody who hung out in the Twitch chat tonight. Shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom for hanging out with us either in game, on streams, downloading the show, the Facebook group, whatever you do to help make this a better place. Shout out to Gareth for his trophy rarity competition, because that's a lot of work that he puts into that on his own time. And there was something else, and I'm forgetting, but that's okay. Shout out to Arrowhead, because Helldivers 2 is amazing. Or you need to give it a chance if you haven't yet. That's it.
Matt.
Shout out to you guys, Alex Childicki. Wow.
Icky.
Sorry, I bit my
Wow.
tongue, so my
some of that muscle memory in action right there.
Alex, Yield, and Tricky. Good show tonight. Shout out to the Channel 3 community. Tune into Channel 3 to gamify your social media. Come on by and see how you can earn XP just by playing our mini games. Shout out to the Trophy Horror community. Thank you for listening. Thank you to everybody in channel tonight. Otaku Man, saw Dan Tucker lurking, saw Joe Priestley out there.
We don't talk about Joe. He's just a troll.
I still give shout out to our listeners.
We don't shout out trolls.
I shout out to you.
We allow a troll on the podcast, Tricky.
Alice is just mad because I got him with a good zinger before the show started.
Hi, Cosmo.
You did not. You immediately apologized to me. You immediately walked it back.
I said that in private. Why are you out with me like that?
I got the text to prove it.
Why you gotta out me like that? Okay, I'm sorry, Matt.
Finishing my shout out. Shout out to my awesome wife V. Thank you for everything you do on and off the show.
Alice, your shout out, sir.
Give a shout out to our awesome community, the Fuel to the Fire Trophy Horrors. Thank you all for your continued support. However you listen every week, the questions you send in, those who are in chat, you guys drive us forward. So thank you very much for your continued support. It means everything. Give a shout out to Yield, Matt, and Tricky for recording tonight. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend Ashley. Love you, hun. And yeah, that's gonna be me.
give a shout out to everybody.
It doesn't matter who your shout outs are.
Twice in a show.
I should just keep talking. Not even give them the credit for it.
But you can't because you stopped.
Are you gonna shut your mouth? Because that would be a surprise.
Who's sexing now?
Oh, that was beautiful.
Wow.
That was bad. That was yield. That was not
Government names. Shout out to everybody who popped in Twitch. You guys have got me frazzled.
He's flustered. He's done. Stick a fork at him.
Shout out to everybody that listens to the show. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody in the TikTok tonight. We did not get any comments, but we had 200 views, which is pretty good.
No, you're not going to get any comments. It's all Chinese backed.
Oh my God. Everybody in the Twitch chat, everybody that's watching the TikToks and the YouTubes, all our videos now are on our Instagram. Thank you, V, for setting that up. All our clips that you guys see during the week, they're being posted on the Facebook. They're being posted on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. We're trying to get our Twitter going back up. I refuse to call it X, by the way. Shout out to the goddess. Shout out to Sweet Mama D. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
This is the way.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.